In the podcast today, we're going to be talking about why it might not be the agency's fault that performance is broken and what marketing leaders can do to optimize their overall operation. We're joined by Alicia, who oversees the paid media team at Propel, to chew the fat on what marketing leaders can do to work with their agencies to fix performance. Okay, so before we start talking about campaigns, let's take a bit of a step back and talk about how paid media is just a reflection of the overall business, right? So quite often when we speak to clients, they will have an expectation that they can just switch paid media on and generate results. And it's kind of down to the agency and it's down to us to generate those results. But we both know through past experience that that's obviously not always realistic. The paid media campaigns and any marketing campaign itself is just like a facet of the overall business, the product, whether there's a market for it, whether there's a customer. Do you want to give us some examples of clients that we've worked with where maybe don't say the specific brand name, but talk to us about cases where the expectations haven't met the reality in terms of performance marketing campaigns?
Yeah, we've had a couple of examples where I think also even the client doesn't really know what they want. So they come to us, they've got unrealistic expectations in terms of how many leads they're going to drive, but maybe the website isn't created, the CRM's not set up, there's no other marketing channels live, or they refer on kind of referral activity, for example, which is not something that we tend to influence. And it means that you're kind of starting off already with not proper foundations. But it also means that you're not going to be able to kind of drive good performance. If there's a full funnel marketing channel set up, the website set up properly, the client knows exactly what they want and they have clear targets, that makes our job kind of easy just to come in and tell them how to do it best.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've definitely had examples where they have very unrealistic expectations of PPC when no other part of the business is set up for it at all. And it kind of just means that we're fighting a losing battle from the very beginning, because PPC campaigns need time to bed in anyway. And then if you're already starting from day one expecting perfect performance, the client is kind of already disillusioned with you right from the very beginning.
It's kind of on us to be like honest about that in that situation as well, isn't it? And we be really upfront and tell the client what's achievable and what's not. The flip side of that is there's a specific example that I'm thinking of, which I think you might know, of a client that you take on. Maybe they've got a base level of spend, but they've got an amazing product, and actually then it's so much easier to scale a good product.
Yeah, definitely. Again, that's a really good example of where the client also just knew exactly what they wanted. They had experience in the industry. They knew what kind of targets we should have been hitting. So again, from the offset, it means that we can recommend budgets, campaigns, keywords, creative that is going to align with that. So yeah, that does definitely make it easier to scale.
Cool. So if you're a marketing leader, I guess it's we want to talk about what levers you've got to control and which ones you don't. So I guess in the context of the kind of the wider business environment, you can't outgrow the market, right? So if the market doesn't exist for your products or the market is shrinking, that's going to be real tough as well, right? So what are some of the key things that we would look at when we're trying to assess whether a market is growing or not?
We do some wider research and have a look into the compound annual growth rate. So often you can find that information just with a quick Google search, but see what that industry is doing. Is it forecast to grow over the next 5-10 years? That then can give you a good indication of whether that product is going to be able to scale or not. The other thing we'd look at, you can just check in kind of Google Ads keyword planner. I would look at both brand demand and non-brand as well. So again, see over the past 9, 12, 24 months, what the market has been doing, whether people are searching for the brand or the product, whether it's increasing, decreasing. And again, that just helps you understand what performance might look like for that client over the next couple of months.
Yeah, I think it's quite important to ground that or to look at that relatively speaking as well, right? So if I think search demand's going to become maybe a bit of a defunct metric soon, isn't it? With the way that the AI overviews are changing everything. And we had a meeting with Google yesterday and they're now talking about ad opportunities, like the opportunities for your ad to show as opposed to actual true number of searches. But I think relatively speaking, you can still assess search demand, can't you? You can still use Google Trends to compare brand A versus competitor A, B and C to see whether they're growing in search demand relative to the market and relative to their competitors. And that can give you a good sense of whether that business has got a good opportunity as well.
Yeah, it's very useful as a comparison tool, for sure. I think search demand will be really interesting as in the next couple of years. Like already for lots of my clients, I'm seeing search demand decrease, but actually we're still seeing demand from the product from other channels as well. So for example, website sales might be up, but Google searches are down. So I think we can definitely use it as a siloed predictor of what Google Ads might look like. But for the kind of the wider market industry insights, you do need to look beyond that for sure.
Yeah. And I guess it's a decision for marketing leaders to make around whether you're going to try and ride the wave in order to grow. If there's increasing demand, there might be an opportunity to just sort of buckle up and ride the wave. However, if the market isn't growing, you need to have a really clear idea of that, because then it's about stealing market share, isn't it? And if you want to steal market share, then there's an investment decision that needs to go behind that.
Yes.
You can't just steal market share without having the necessary tools in place to do it as well, right?
Or budget.
So I guess the whole point is that you can't really outgrow a shrinking market, can you?
No.
So I think that leads on quite nicely if we're talking about potentially wanting to steal market share in the budget. That then leads on to the idea of resources and having the right necessary resources in place as a marketing team as a whole. So I think quite often we might look at, you might look at a performance marketing agency being a standalone team that's just going to come in and do all of the work and you don't have to do anything. And that's not really the reality of it, is it, right? Like we're kind of there to be an extension of the resources that the client has already got.
Yes, absolutely. It's very rare, I think, that we work with a client and only talk about PPC. So if you've got a good relationship with the client, you should be asking them questions just as much as they're asking you questions. How's the wider business performance looking? If there's, for example, if there's a sale that's running, is that running well on PPC or is that running best on other channels? Just to kind of get an understanding of the context. But yeah, quite often we are expected to parachute in and drive performance of the whole business, which is just, it's kind of going back to the unrealistic expectations, isn't it? You need to have a full funnel marketing approach. You need to have really good understanding of the wider business context in order to drive good results.
Like, what do you think are the most common things that we come across in terms of, from like a resource perspective, of where the client hasn't got the right resources in place on their end to help us do our job?
I think the one that we're experiencing most at the moment is no connection between either marketing and product teams or marketing and sales teams. So I think you kind of need that trifecta running really well. You need good feedback going between all three of those teams in order to have good results. So you need ads that are relevant, that they're relevant to the product. You need to know how quickly the sales team are moving leads through the process and what those different processes are to be able to optimize the campaigns to the higher quality leads, for example. So what we have currently, with some clients is we've set ads or campaigns up to the best of our knowledge, to our market research, but then the product team might come in and be like, you're talking about that product totally wrong. That's not the priorities for that product. That's not what we're trying to push. So it kind of then means that there is definitely a disconnect. It means that we might be pushing in leads that are actually not the right leads for that product. And then that's something for the sales team. They get annoyed because they're getting bad leads. But, it's because we haven't been given that information in the first place. So, yeah, you need a really good flow of information between those three.
So I guess the point is then that you need to look at the performance marketing agency as being like a cog in the overall system, right? And everyone needs to work together, and there needs to be like a free flow of information and data between sales, product, marketing, and the whole business in order for it to work effectively.
Yes. I think some of the really difficult client relations I've had is when there isn't that good flow of information. It then it's just people pointing fingers at each other. It's marketing saying it's sales, sales saying it's product saying it's marketing. And then again, it's not a constructive relationship at all.
So I think the key piece of advice there in terms of setting up a broader marketing operation then is to make sure that you've got all of the right resource in place from like a foundational level. So you need like a good website, you need good quality tracking and data as well. That's all quite technical, but you also need to facilitate really good relationships between the people. You can't act in silos. You can't have silos between different departments. Otherwise, you don't have the free flow of information, and it's not as effective as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So, assuming that you've got a market for the product, you've got all of the right resources in place. from our perspective as an agency, we need a bit of direction then on exactly what it is that we want to do. It's pretty difficult, and it's not really our place to go to a client and say, this is what your KPI should be, this is what your objective should be. We can do that, but really it needs to kind of stem from somewhere else, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes. We obviously don't want to look in PPC metrics in silo there as well. Like, while we might be driving really good high quality traffic to the website, we might be driving leads. If their end goal is a sale at the end of the day, that also needs to be our KPI as well. So we need really good access to data to be able to tell that. Ideally, having that fed back into the ad platforms is best case scenario. But if not, at least having access to the data and the reporting so we can see it ourselves and see whether PPC is actually moving the needle on that key metric.
Yeah, you kind of need the CEO to set like the North Star of the business, and then all of the marketing KPIs need to flow from that.
Yeah.
And like, ultimately, if you're not moving the needle on the number that the CEO cares about, then it's not going to be a very long-lasting relationship.
Yeah.
Either for the internal marketing team themselves, but then also the agencies that are working with them.
Yeah. And I think that you need to have a really good awareness of the sales cycle as well, and almost work back from that top metric, kind of looking at, the sale, marketing qualified lead, sales qualified lead, what are the expected or actual conversion rates each stage of that? And you can work back and kind of set your marketing KPIs as saying, what do we need to do to fill the funnel in order to see the sale at the end of the day? And then again, it kind of, hopefully you get the performance that you want at the end of it. But it's, you're at least then, you've all got a really good awareness of what metric you're still trying to drive, even if what we're working to in platform might be slightly different.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So basically it's super important that or that the whole marketing operation, not just the agency, but the entire team, is given really clear direction on exactly what the KPIs are. Those KPIs need to ladder up to the wider business objectives in order for the teams to be able to operate and function properly.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the other side of it as well is that if you are not aware of what the true business KPIs are, you might end up optimizing towards the wrong thing as well. Like the algorithms these days you really need to direct them in the right way. Otherwise they'll just literally do whatever you tell them to do. And if you're telling it to do the wrong thing, it will generate the wrong results.
Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of conversation about this in the team because we will quite often work with clients where they have incomplete data signals. So they're not sending maybe the full funnel through to Google Ads, or they've got low data volume as well. So you kind of have to, sometimes the conversation is, do we compromise? Like, do we optimize for a lower funnel lead just to be able to get data to optimize towards? But I think Google definitely recommend that you should only be optimizing towards one stage of the funnel at once. So we see clients come in often where they've got tracking of all of the different stages of the lead, but they're optimizing to all of it all at once. And it confuses the signals massively. And I think because then Google are like, well, what exactly do you want me to do here? Because you've got people who are ready to buy versus people who've just kind of randomly found your product through a Google search. They're all being given the same value in Google. And it just leads to really confusion of the data.
Yeah. Okay. And then final point on this topic as well, like how frustrating is it when the client doesn't give you any targets?
Yeah, that's always slightly annoying. But I think it makes it really, again, to me, it comes from lack of awareness and lack of knowledge of their own product, because they look to you as the expert, which is completely fair enough. But you do need some level. You need a level of proportion. It's like, are you expecting 3 leads for this, or are you expecting 3,000? You kind of need to know what ballpark you're aiming for. But then it also means that, because you kind of haven't got that full funnel awareness of what we should be doing at each level, they'll come back to you, and if they're not happy with performance, they're not able to diagnose themselves where the issue in the funnel is. So is it because we're not driving enough clicks? Is it because it's not enough leads? Is it because the sales process is broken down? And they've got absolutely no idea themselves. So you kind of then, you're a bit blind, really. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So there's a market demand for the product. You've got all the right resources in place. You've got really solid targets, achievable targets as well. I guess that's nothing if you've got a crap product.
Yeah, I don't think you can out-optimize a crap product.
Do you think that optimization can fix a crap product?
Yes and no. is my honest answer to this. So previously, I thought the answer was no. I thought you couldn't out-optimize a bad product because you might have the best campaign structure in the world, really clean keywords, very clear data signals. But ultimately, if people get to the website and the product is crap, they're not going to want to convert. However, I think we have had an example recently where the product, in my opinion, is still not as strong as others on the market, but with tweaks to campaign structure, we have been able to drive better performance. We haven't been able to drive good performance, but it's definitely improved because of things that we've done. So yeah, I guess ultimately, no, you can't drive good performance for a bad product, but you can probably optimize a bad product somewhat. The product does still need to be good though.
Marketing is just an amplification of the product in itself, isn't it? I feel like as well, if you throw enough money at a product, you can promote anything, can't you? You can generate results. Whether or not it's efficient or not is a different story.
The efficiency is really key. I think also the longevity of it as well. We were talking recently, I don't know if you've seen these adverts for mold remover in a washing machine.
Oh yes, I have seen
So
those, yeah.
they are currently really doing the rounds on social media. It's incredibly compelling. You just put it on there and you wipe it away. So like for me, I watch that and I'm like, I need that product. But I bought it. Have I used it? No. Am I going to use it again? No. It's the marketing of it was very effective, but they haven't created a customer for long term. So you kind of have to think like, how long is this going to go on for?
Yeah, it's like the social media world we live in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you can have a compelling ad, and you can that is the optimization of a bad product, isn't it? But
Yep.
it's only gonna have a really short-lived life cycle, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I guess you also need to understand the product really well as well, right? Because like if you look at surface level, it might look like things are performing quite well, but if you look under the skin of things like product margin and lifetime value, I guess that's your point there, like repeat purchase. If it's a really crap product and people only buy it once, that really then plays into the cost that you can afford to spend to acquire a customer.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of subscription clients, I guess, where that's also relevant is quite often, we work with a lot of clients who sell their products on a subscription basis. And those markets are often very, very saturated. So for those products, I think because the quality of the product is so much more important because it's a very saturated market and you obviously need that repeat customer to come back and make the business model worthwhile. So we often see clients where the product is maybe not quite right for the market. They will have very aggressive kind of first user targets, but actually it's because they don't see the repeat purchase. So you definitely need to have a really, really strong product for those kind of things.
Yeah, you just need to understand like the unit economics of it all, don't you? You need to understand what the purchase repeat rate is. You need to understand what the product margin is. You need to understand what the lifetime value is, all of those things. I have seen like some smart businesses and a smart approach sometimes is to use paid media to test that though, is to put 5-10K of budget behind a product to see whether it converts or not. And that can be quite telling on whether you've got product market fit or not. You can usually tell pretty quickly whether a campaign's going to work or not, can't you?
Yes.
AI is like quite an interesting space at the minute from that perspective where you've got some like amazing technology and there's all of this potential around what AI agents can potentially do. We were speaking with Google yesterday and they were talking about the potential of agents in the whole shopping experience around an AI agent being an assistant when you're looking to buy a product. It's a great product, but no one's ready for it yet. There's no customer, is there? So if you haven't got a customer there to buy the product, you could have everything else in place. You could have all of the resources, best marketing team in the world, a massive budget, a brilliant product, kind of Google, right, in a nutshell. Not to say that they haven't got a good product elsewhere, but probably loads of examples at Google where they've had good products, but the customers just haven't existed.
Yeah, definitely. There's, interestingly, in that example and potentially other examples as well, it kind of comes down to trust sometimes as well. So maybe if it is a really new market, like in this example of having an AI agent to help you with their shopping, the way that it works is you can add in, I think, certain keywords and then it will add products to your basket. I think for me, I feel just like that's just not going to work. I think they're not going to find the products that I want. It kind of takes away the consumer experience as well of actually browsing, which sometimes is enjoyable. So I kind of think it is going to be a bit of a tough sell because it's just so new to people. But at the end of the day, it probably will make your shopping experience a lot quicker. Once people get used to it and they start to actually trust that it's going to have good results, then I can imagine it taking off. So it's, you kind of, in those examples, like customer testimonials are so important, reviews are so important. Just making sure that you've got really good examples of people using the product can be really, really helpful.
And for us as a PPC agency as well, to understand our clients' customers in as much depth as possible as well. So from like a lead scoring perspective, training the algorithm to find the right type of customers, it's so important that clients actually share that information with us. Like there's one thing them telling us being like, oh yeah, this is our ICP, this is our ideal customer profile, but to actually share the data with us as well. It just levels up what you can do for the client, doesn't it? If they give you access to the CRM and you can actually get your hands on the raw data that defines their customers.
Yeah, the customer relevancy is so important, getting the right people to the website. Because we can use that data in so many ways as well. Like even just overlaying it onto a campaign is going to give Google better signals about who your ideal customer is. But also if you want, you could have specific retargeting strategies on either on Google or Meta or kind of any of your platforms. It definitely helps pinpoint so you're spending in the right areas.
And I guess with consumers seeing so many ads in so many different places these days as well, like you must be seeing hundreds, if not thousands of ads per day. If you really have a good understanding of the customer, then you can really refine the messaging and try and build ads that stand out as well. So once we've kind of been through product, resources, objectives, whether the customers exist for it, it's kind of like once you've got that whole marketing strategy together, it's kind of only then that you can really think about what you're going to do from a performance marketing perspective. So I guess if you had a client come to you and that was they had all of the strategy outlined, like how do you then start to formulate a performance marketing plan for that client? Like where do you start? What are like the high level things that you begin with before you start even thinking then about like the nitty gritty tactical stuff?
I would start thinking about exactly what their goal is and also what their budget is. So from there, you can kind of start to work out what channels might be best suited to market the product. Ideally, you'd have a full funnel strategy. So again, kind of thinking about budget allocation between those, how much you want to allocate to direct conversion versus if you want to kind of test any other upper funnel or mid funnel activity. But also what resources they have their side as well. So when you're thinking about something like Meta or social media, have they got resource internally to create creative? Because otherwise that you're not going to see the impact on that channel without it. So just thinking about what channels, what campaigns are going to be most effective for driving their goal.
Yeah. And then I guess it's really important. It sounds like really basic and obvious, but to have really good communication with your client and so that everyone in the whole marketing team understands the things that we're working on as well, like having all of those, like the strategic initiatives laid out that are going to help improve the maturity of your performance marketing program, which is all aimed at improving the performance. So I guess what do you expect to see from the team when all of that stuff is laid out? How do we define the prioritization? Like what are the key things that we're looking for in a particular initiative for us to work on to determine whether we work on it now or in 18 months?
So strategically, you have to think what's going to drive the most impact, because at the end of the day, performance is the most important thing. The team needs to kind of go away and have a look at think what tactical or what strategic initiatives are going to best drive the client's goal. And then from there, you can kind of decide what you're going to spend your time on and what needs to be done first in the account. Prioritization is really important in that as well, because, for example, if you haven't got solid data foundations set up, then you're probably not going to see the results you want from your campaigns, regardless of how good the structure is. So you need to kind of work out what order you're going to change things.
Yeah. But like the whole thing is about driving results, isn't it? So every marketing leader within a client's business should expect to know what are like the 3, 4, 5 key things that their team is working on that are actually going to move the needle in terms of like changing results and improving results. There shouldn't just be this like scattergun approach of like, let's try this or just random tactics. It's kind of all got to be organised in a way that you understand what the client wants, you understand their problems, you build solutions around it, but ultimately it's about growing their accounts and achieving the KPIs that they want.
Sometimes it can just be about learning as well. We've had clients come to us where they're like, I've got an 80k budget, I want you to just try and spend it and see if you can. So sometimes that's the learning, and then you can push campaigns live. But yeah, ideally we're always working towards that end goal of performance.
Cool. So we wouldn't be able to sit here. I don't think that we've had any conversation in this room where we haven't spoken about AI and the results of AI. So everything that we've kind of gone through thus far, I guess, has been quite theoretical and strategic. It's thinking about the strategy. To what level would you expect the team at Propel to be leveraging AI in strategic thinking?
I think that AI is great at editing. So if you've got some half-formed ideas, often putting that into some kind of AI model will really help you structure it. And it can help you kind of pull things out that you thought were obvious, but actually might be quite impactful for the client, and kind of really hone in on those ideas. So for anyone in the team, I would say don't use it for original thinking, but if you need to use it to organise your thoughts and kind of come up with a strategy for the client, it can be incredibly helpful. It's a massive time saver as well. You know, sometimes you need to sit down and think about something for an hour or even a week before you know what the right answer is yourself. And sometimes just putting it into AI, coming out with a result, you look at it and you're like, that's not right. I would do it a different way. So it's actually sometimes it can just really speed up that process.
And with like the fact that we're developing our own AI agent internally, and the idea is that can take away some of the day-to-day work and make everyone more efficient so they can work on more stuff. Where do you see it going in the next couple of years? Like, to what extent would you expect to see an AI agent? What type of work would you expect to see an AI agent doing versus the humans at the agency?
Anything that's really led by the data, I suppose. So things like budget allocation is what comes to mind first, because you can really easily just look and see which campaigns are driving the highest volume and the best CPA. That's probably where you should be putting your budget. So that kind of black and white thinking is what AI can do really well. Equally, things like, I guess, about creative strategies, sometimes it's quite difficult as a person to sit down and think, what are the reasons that this creative has performed better than another creative? Whereas actually, because you might be able to put that into AI and they can kind of find common threads that run through it faster than we can. So again, that kind of thing might be helpful. I think it will obviously develop really quickly, and I'm very excited to use it. And I think for the team, it's just having almost like they need to oversee, they need to still be the ones that are in charge of decisions at the end of the day, because the AI is always going to self-reflect and do what it thinks is what you want. But sometimes I think that can lead to it going slightly off track.
They kind of work on averages, don't they? It's just doing the average of the sort of data set, and it can never do anything outside of that. So if you want beyond average thinking and beyond average results, then that's where the humans come in, isn't it? Yeah. Is there any sort of key things that you would absolutely black and white tell the team you shouldn't be using AI for this? In terms of like making changes in accounts or like any sort of hard nose, like AI doesn't play a role here.
I guess letting it make a change without you reviewing it first, like for anything, 100%. Anything where a client has explicitly asked for your opinion, I think also AI shouldn't be used for that, because you've got experiences that the AI doesn't have. So anything kind of opinion-based, I think, needs to come from the team.
Yeah, 100%. Like you can't stifle the creativity, can you?
No.
Because that's where you get the exceptional results. So if you were taking on a new role as a CMO or a marketing director in a new business, like to what extent would you expect your agency to be leveraging AI? Like where are the true benefits in what AI can do? and what sort of questions should they be asking of their agency as things stand?
I would expect them to be using it kind of day to day for, smaller iterative tasks. So things like checking search query reports, for example, that kind of thing could be done by AI, because I think that's basically what we're developing now, is the ability to go away and see, is there demand for this search query? Is it relevant to the product? I guess those kind of definitive questions can be definitely solved by AI. Things like ad copy suggestions, although I don't know if I love AI ad copy.
I think it's basically anything that it's, I kind of think anything where you would need to download an Excel. I kind of like to think, I'd like to think that most people in the business, if you went in their download file on their computer, if you weren't seeing hundreds of Excel files, I'd be pretty disappointed. But I kind of think that over time, maybe that's a good measure of AI usage, is how many Excel files you download in a day or a week when you use AI and when you don't, because that's quite time consuming. The amount of times you have to download, like you're doing a piece of analysis and you have to download 6, 7, 8, 9 different Excels. You've got to format them, you've got to stitch them together, you've got to manipulate the data. You'd kind of think that an AI agent, that's their role, right? It's not about the analysis. As much as I'm a weirdo and I love playing with Excel, actually that's not the useful bit. The useful bit is the insight that you get out of the back of it. So I'd kind of think that AI could really help speed up the time to insight. You would expect, I think, within the next six months to a year, potentially, when a CMO asks an agency a question about the performance of a campaign, that answer should be coming back in near real time. What impact do you think that's going to have on the team? Like, what does that enable?
Speed us up so much. It enables fast, decisive decision making in accounts. It helps us take action a lot faster as well. So instead of waiting for performance declines to get picked up, later down the funnel, if we can immediately see that the traffic that we're driving is less relevant because the click-through rate's decreasing, then that's really helpful. It means that we can kind of spot and diagnose performance issues much faster.
So, I mean, if I was a CMO in 2026 and my paid media campaigns weren't working, I think that I would be looking at more things outside of the campaign performance itself. I think that you should be looking at the wider market environment that you sit in, whether there's any demand for that product itself, whether there's a customer problem, whether it's a product problem. There's so many more things that could be at play that impacts the performance of the campaign that isn't just the campaign itself. I think it's really important to have that wider perspective and not just point the finger at individuals. It's the same for any channel. We only run paid campaigns, paid social, paid search. I think the same can be true of other channels as well. The sort of finger pointing and the blame game around why performance is broken, quite often it can be more to do with the marketing strategy itself and the underlying fundamentals of the team and the product, as opposed to just a campaign. A campaign can't just fix all of your problems. How crap are Google at helping you when your account gets hacked?
Awful. I couldn't believe how bad they were. They were completely useless. We had an experience recently where a client's Gmail got hacked, and via that they got access to Google Ads. So the hackers were able to add themselves as admin, remove all of the existing admin users, create new campaigns, which they were able to do incredibly quickly with £1.5 million a day budgets. We were completely powerless to stop it. I submitted the compliance, the account form on Google, and was told that I get a response within 1 to 2 business days. So
and that's absolutely shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Google. So your account is actually you're in an account. You're watching hackers build campaigns with £1.5 million a day budgets. You're telling Google this is happening, and they're going to come back to you in 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I think I actually couldn't even get on chat or on phone to support. It took me about half an hour to be able to even get through to somebody on support chat. And then when I said that they were going to take it offline, I think one response I got was 6 business days, which is just completely unacceptable. The only way that we managed to escalate it was via Google reps, who were kind of able to flag it in the system that it needed a human review. But even now, after all this has happened, Google is still coming back to us and saying they found no evidence of abnormal activity. So in terms of whether the client's going to get a refund or not, I have no idea. None of us can access the account because we got removed after about 30 minutes of this happening. So it's really just been left as kind of an open thread that the hackers have got access to the account and we have no idea what's going to happen next. It's really just emphasised the importance of account security to me. So kind of making sure that you're just not using Gmail or Hotmail accounts at all. It should all just be company emails that have access to the account. You need to have at least 2 admin users on the account as well, so that then if a new user gets added or deleted, that has to be approved by another admin user before it goes live. And just having really very, very paying close attention to who has access to your accounts.
Every single email notification that comes in, you should be querying that, right? Like if you don't recognise the person or you don't know who it is or it's an unknown domain, always speak to the client immediately, always question that.
Yeah, always. In this example, they had luckily already seen it before we pointed it out, but it meant that, within a minute of receiving that email, we were already aware of what was happening and trying to mitigate the damage as much as we possibly could. So yes, definitely having access, flagging it with the client as soon as possible is really important.
It's such a boring topic of discussion, but it could cause so much disruption to an entire marketing function, couldn't it? If you're a marketing team and you're spending thousands and thousands of pounds on Google Ads every day and you're reliant on that traffic to come to the website to buy stuff, that could kill your revenue if you don't. So take it seriously and Google, sort your lives out.
Mm-hmm. Bing was a new channel for one of our charity clients that we'd estimated. Bing is one channel for our clients that I think previously we might have underestimated. So we set it live for a charity client. The US market was a new market for them. So we set live on Google and Microsoft has just absolutely flown. So I think to me, that's really shown the importance of choosing the right channel and choosing the right platform for a client with really good understanding of the audience. We know that Bing is kind of more widely used in the US. It also tends to have a slightly higher income bracket that use Bing versus Google. So for somebody like a charity client, that's actually really effective because you're targeting people who in today's day and age might have a bit more spare cash compared to others. So it's been really effective and actually it's been really helpful for us to be able to scale quite quickly in a new market for that client.
I'm a huge fan of Bing ads and Microsoft ads. I think that it's always more efficient than Google. The scale might not be there, but I think you've always got to take it seriously because it's usually incremental reach and it nearly always performs better than Google.
Cheaper CPCs as well. So we're able to drive a lot more traffic to site for less spend.